Hey YouTube, how you doing? So like Phil said, this week we made some progress. You saw in the last video we had just the raw chassis with some tubing laid out along the side. So you can't see it now because the frame is tacked to the table. But what we did was, or what I did was, on its backside where the 1-inch square tubing is, removed all the paint, and it's hard to see, but with these Craftsman they have these bossed threads where instead of a nut they use a thread, so all those had to get ground flush. Over here with the floorboards, they have a carriage bolt on the back side, so what I did was, with a cutoff wheel, cut the head off, put a little 45 on there, bolted the running board to the frame, and then welded the head, or what was the stud, if you will, to the inside of the frame, and then ground it flush. With it on its backside, again, took my corner to corner measurements to make sure I was still square. We notched. As you can see, the tubing fits through the notch. You have to be careful because there's an inside radius to the frame, to the stamp frame, which doesn't line up with the radius of the square tubing. So what I did was I just ran it flush to the gap and then spanned, so you've got a, basically it looks a little bit like a V, and rather than influence the frame, I tacked it in place. There's probably about 8 or 9 different tacks in this. Again, keep measuring, keep it flat, keep it square. The more accurate your frame is, the more accurate your suspension, your axles are going to go in. I also took and removed the front C-channel. Used a Sawzall with a metal cutting blade. Pretty straightforward, just cut it right out, because eventually those plates that we made are going to go in here, and hopefully maybe today you'll see the front end notched for the tie rod. And then in the back, because we know that we have a 44-inch wheelbase, I just put some reference lines in. We know that these 3 holes here are where the transaxle bolts to, so I just measured center to center and dropped a line. Did that on both sides. Did that on the front. So what we're going to do is the process in which you want to go, because there is a lot of play here, it's not a slip fit. What we're going to do is we're going to fit the rear axle. We'll show you how to measure the tires to get your center distance, to get your cassettes and everything else set and bolted in place, and then from there we'll take our front end measurements to make sure that we maintain the 44 inches, which, when you read the national rules, you have to maintain the stock wheelbase. We also have clamped, this is not the final position, this is just a raw transmission plate. This is in here again just to help keep everything square, flat, parallel while we go ahead and install our axles.